What? Oh, that's alright, that's alright. I've come on a bit early. I'm live. So, Mum, can you check on your phone and see if I've went live? Sometimes it doesn't share. So, tonight is the Let's Talk Out Loud Newcastle mental health chat, and I've just kind of started. So, obviously it's very new. I'm just finding my feet with it and finding where I want to take it, how I want to structure it. And initially what I was going to do was do a Zoom session tonight and have a few people on to talk about different issues for people to share their stories. And I was going to stream the Zoom obviously in here. But bless, one of the girls that was going to come on can't come on anymore. Laura, who was on last week, actually I haven't checked because I've been bathing Ruby, so I don't think she replied. So I was like, do you know what, I'm just going to go live and I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions as well. And before I get started, I've come a little bit early. What are you doing? No, listen, don't, baby. My own profile. I should have said that first. So, yes, I'm in my jammies. It's Sunday. Me and David have been away for the weekend because it was his birthday yesterday. So, we've been away for how many nights? 2 nights, and you kind of missed one, haven't you? So I said I wouldn't be too long tonight. So we're going to have a little chat. I'm going to ask you some questions, but I'm going to bring Ruby in a little, for a couple of minutes. So do you want to pop your little head in? Say hi to everybody. Oh, I should have moved on to you. Say hi.
Hi.
So this is my Rubes, which most of you probably know. And I thought, ooh, she's been in the bath, so her hair's still wet, isn't it? You just had your supper. So I thought we're going to ask you a couple of questions, aren't we? Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay then. I will do. So I was like, all right, okay. So in life, and obviously when I'm doing these things, a lot of it is just like my opinions or things that I've researched and not everyone will agree. My mum's here and we were having a conversation earlier on about different motivational speakers, and there's certain people that I like that she doesn't like, and I think that's going to be a thing with people, isn't it? Everybody's different. So I thought, what is the main thing with mental health? Like, for me, it's like, is it just the fact that, I don't know, babe, is it the fact that we just want to kind of live our best life? Is that all it is? You know, you're depressed or you're anxious or you're going through grief or trauma. And because of that, it's stopped me from living the life you want to live and being the person that you want to be. So I thought I'm going to bring a little person on just to show you how simple it used to be when we were kids. So what question did you want us to ask you about what you're grateful for? Should we start with that one? Yeah. Well, first of all, you just need to say yes or no to this one. Okay, so would you say you're happy? Yeah? Do you want to see what things make you happy? Yeah? What kind of things make you happy? You can whisper us if you want, and I'll tell them what you can say. Water. That's your first one. You love water, don't you? Food. So these are like grateful things, actually, aren't they? Things that you're grateful for, and they make you happy that you can get a nice fresh drink of water. And Mummy's hugs. No. Love. Yeah, because you love Mum and Dad and Mum, and you've got family that you love. What else are you happy about in your life? Yeah. Or is there anything you're unhappy about? I mean, be honest. Nothing. You're just quite happy being a child and just living life. Yeah. You want to stay up late, so you're not happy about having to go to bed on time. Early. It's not early. You don't ever go to bed early, little tinker. So when we were obviously kids, we were carefree, and I think when you obviously get older comes responsibility, isn't it? Because we've got to go and work to make pennies, to pay for things that we want, for food, all the things that you've just said that you're grateful for. Got to work for it. And I think with that responsibility comes stress as well. You know, a lot of people might have not made the right decisions in life and ended up in a job that they really hate. You can speak if you want. Do you want to say something? Okay. Ended up doing a job that they don't want to do, or ended up in relationships that they don't want to be in, or thinking certain things about themselves that aren't actually true, but it's come from the conditioning that they've experienced, obviously growing up, from their family, from teachers. It's obviously important, and we do kind of get moulded depending on the people that we're surrounding ourselves with. But all of this kind of adds to like your quality of life. So in the status I had put down, like, and I would love it if whoever's watching answers these questions. It would be great. Like, are you living your best life? So if you're living your best life, Meaning, you know, you're really content, you're really happy, you're doing the job that you want to do, you've got the home that you want. And if you're content and living your best life, will you put a yes in the comments? Or no if you're not? We'll see. So if you are, put a yes in, and if you're not, put a no in. And then we'll elaborate if you want to. But it'll be handy just to see how many people are going, do you know what, actually I'm really content and I'm loving my life.
I'm really content with my life.
You are now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy with my lot.
Yeah. Do you want to come in, mention, or well, you can stay there if you want to.
I don't stay there because I'm gym jams.
Just in our gym jams as well. We're having a jammy party. So my mum's going to have a little say in the background while you're kind of hopefully replying to say if you're living your best life, yes or no in the comments.
I'm skint and I'm always skint, but money's never been my route to happiness.
Yeah.
It's how I feel, and if I'm content with my lot, I've got love from my family and I love my family.
Yeah.
I'm content, I've got a roof over my head, I've got food to feed me, I've got water, I don't need much else. I'm happy. It's when you've got lots of wants, I wants, is when you start feeling depressed because you can't have.
And do you think that the depression comes because you want it and it's not there immediately, so, and then the stress to get
expectations and outcomes.
Will we move along that way? I think. Yeah. So, but my mum literally was, I've said this a few times on my lives, I'm waiting for people to reply, darling. We'll move it along a bit, watch. She had fibromyalgia for about 10 years, and a lot of it was due to, not talk about now, but past traumas. And obviously when COVID kicked off, she was really, really poorly to the fact she thought she wasn't going to be here. Can you sit there? Because I don't think you'll fit in that little gap, you know, I've got shutty thighs. So, nobody's replying on that question though. Maybe she don't want to answer, and that's fine, I guess. But anyway, she literally thought that was it. So she started eating really healthy, and going inside and accepting everything about her, forgiving people. And she just went, Ruby, please don't do that. No, not darling, wait there. She went on a massive discovery, and now she's like, she does Reiki, she does pendulums. She was doing like dog boarding for a little while, which was giving her some companionship, and she absolutely loves it. Right, so I've got, Hayley's got a holiday tomorrow. I love loving life. I love loving life. Good, Hales. And I've got to say, Hayley, like, you are smashing life. Like, you've got your own little place. She's making like lots of money. She's like in her job. That's my name too. I know we're like twins. So, but it would be lovely for people to say like, are you living your best life? And if you are, share what that is. And if you're not, like, just put a comment and say no, and I'll just ask you a couple of questions. If you don't want to answer, like, that's fine. But it was mainly just to say to people like, do you even know why? So, for example, if you're depressed or unhappy, do you know why? And is that the reason why you're not living your best life? Or is it because you're not living your best life? Like, which one comes first? I am loving life. I was trying to read it and it wasn't coming out properly. But obviously I'll go to myself as well. Like, I'm very grateful. And like my mum was talking about before, she's happy and she's content because she's got all of her basic needs met. And I think that's what a lot of us people now in these days have got, all our basic needs met. You know, we've got access to homes. Obviously there is sadly people who are homeless. But we've got access to homes, to heating, to water, to food. And when you've got all your basic needs met, I think the human brain, you're bored. No, the human brain always wants to strive for something and have a purpose. And I'm keep getting distracted, baby. Do you want to go upstairs and see your dad and read your book? Do you want to? Because you keep distracting, isn't it? And I keep forgetting what I'm saying. Yeah, I keep forgetting what I'm saying. So yeah, answer those questions if you would care to. And obviously this chat out, like I said, I was going to have somebody on talking about addictions and stuff last week. Yeah, go upstairs because I'm losing my concentration, sweetheart. Do you want to go read your book to Dad? Well, come and say bye though to people. Come here, you said you were bored. It is boring. It is boring, isn't it, talking about mental health? I did.
Hi, darling.
Tell you what, next time we'll do it and we'll think of more questions to ask you. Okay, can I have a cuddle?
Good night.
Right. I go and say good night, look.
Night.
Good night. Go on then. can't see my brain, I can't focus, I'm like getting distracted easily. Hayley, I think just trying every day. Sometimes life is good, sometimes it's bad. I think contentment is more important. Happiness by definition can't be permanent. And you know what, this is what realisation I've come to as well, Hayley. I shared something on my wall, I don't know if anybody's seen it, like I watched it, and it was about, me and Laura spoke about it briefly last week actually, and it's about your pain and your pleasure receptors in your brain. They're kind of in the same bit, and your brain likes to be, and I can never say words like this, is it homeostasis? I can't remember. Something like that anyway, but basically what it means is your brain likes that balance, just a bit like your pH level, like your brain and your dopamine, like your pain and your pleasure response. It likes to be balanced, which means that we can't really go through life and have a happy life without pain. Like they'll say like pain is pleasure. So like obviously if I want to go to the gym and get really fit, the pain element of that is, a lot of people, it'll be the motivation to get started. Homeostasis, that's it. I can never ever say the word. I said something wrong on my live as well last week. I'm like, what am I even talking about? I'm learning so much, and it's trying to remember how to pronounce the words and say them. Proper brain fog. But basically, it's your pain and pleasure responses. And if you're constantly having pleasure, then you're kind of like lifting that balance up. And what they say as well is, it'll try and balance out, so then you'll feel like more of a come down, like a lot of pain. And then it'll make it also then harder to feel pleasure from things, which is when things like addictions can come in, or things that people go to find like dopamine hits for things. So some people will look for, some people are like addicted to sex. Some people are addicted to alcohol, some people like the smoke. And a lot of thrill-seeking things, it's to get that like reward, that quick reward. That dopamine hit. So we need a balance, so we need to have that bit of pain to get that bit of pleasure. And when we're going through the pain and we're going through the bad days, just recognise it as something good's going to come from this. Like the only way is like is up as well. So when you're kind of going through pain, expect a bit of pleasure normally, not always. Like if you went through say trauma or abuse, that is painful, and we can't say, oh well, I'm going through this to get pleasure. So I don't mean on that level, I'm just meaning day-to-day life. If you want something, you work hard and then you kind of get the rewards. But a lot of people want rewards, like instant rewards. So even like dieting, so people want that quick fix. So they'll take pills, or they'll take this, or they'll take that, and it doesn't really work. You're best kind of slogging it and putting in a bit of the hard work. And then as well, I think it'll feel better. You'll feel more rewarded in a way, because you've worked hard for that and you deserve it. Rather than subconsciously thinking that you've cheated. Do you know what I mean? Like you've starved yourself and you've lost weight, but yet you're very unhealthy because you've got no good nutrition, like nutrients and vitamins in your body. So really, the quick way is never really the best way. And in life, I think what I'm trying to figure out, especially in the local area, because I feel like that's where I can be of service to and to help people. I'm just reading that. Well, I'm glad that's come across for you, hon. So I don't know if you mind answering that question, Stacey, like, are you living your best life? Some people just don't even ask themselves that question, do they? They just plod on and do what they need to do. And a lot of people don't feel good enough to do the job that they want to do, which is obviously limiting beliefs. There's loads of different reasons why people aren't happy. It's really complex. The more I'm looking into mental health, it's just like a minefield, because you've got so many different reasons for people not being happy. Sometimes people will be unhappy, but they don't know why. And that's kind of where I went through last year, which was really hard for me because I didn't have a reason. I haven't suffered major trauma well, I'm saying I haven't, right? But there has been events in my life that have been traumatic. But at the time I didn't, I don't know. They're not like some people who have obviously suffered, abuse and things like that. I haven't really went through anything like that. I had quite a good life, good upbringing. But there has been little things. Oh, thank you, Hayley. I love our little chats. But next time we get together, you're not allowed wine, right? In fact, no, what was it you were drinking? That was funny, bless you. Oh, it was 8 o'clock tonight, Laura. I've just said before, I was like, yeah, I've messaged Laura and I don't know if she's replied or not, but Becky was going to come on, but for reasons she couldn't come on to the Zoom. So I was like, do you know what? Instead of doing a Zoom and sharing it Facebook, I thought I'm just going to come on Facebook. So if anybody wants to join on the camera as well and talk about your story, and if you're living your best life, then obviously let us know and come on. This is just me now going to be, until I get a proper structure for these, because I would love to do like the podcast type stuff and get guests on, professional people who obviously know their mental health stuff. But for now, I think I'm just going to do this. I think I'm just going to come on a Sunday, 8 o'clock, in my PJs, have a little bit of a natter, share with you what I'm doing for my mental health, share things that, you know, I've heard and learned from other people. And then if anybody wants to jump on, I can invite you, I think. I haven't done that before. What's that one there? Allow the audience to ask to participate in your broadcast. Yes. Ask Hayley Blythe to join the live if they accept. So, I don't know, have you sent a request to me? I don't know how this works. Yeah, I'm shocking. But yeah, so if you would like to chat about something, please just write in the comments, like, any questions you've got for me or that you think would be beneficial for other people. It's really hard when you're kind of doing this because you need somebody to kind of ask you a question to go, okay, we'll go down that route or we'll elaborate on that. But when I'm just talking, the things I'm saying might not be useful to anybody. So I'd rather kind of get your feedback and see where your heads are at. I would like to think I was in my best life, but I know I'm not. I struggle with my mental health massively. However, saying that, I am a lot better now than I was. I'll come back to that in a sec, Stace. Lindsay, hey, yeah, people can send requests if you accept they can join. How's your mental health now? So, I'm going to go to, Stace, where's it gone? I'm touching it and it just like, it keeps moving out of Facebook. Oh, Stace, I've lost it, but I do kind of briefly know what you said. So, what I kind of want to ask is, like, you don't have to open up on here, and you can feel like more than free anytime you want to chat. Send us an inbox. But do you know, like, why your mental health is suffering? Like, do you actually know that have you pinpointed the reason for it? Because what I was about to say was, with mine, it's definitely stemmed from lockdown. Obviously, kitchen life, singing, doing great. I was actually losing weight and feeling good about myself. Couldn't work for obviously a long time, like a lot of entertainers and a lot of other people. Obviously, we got hit. I was doing my kitchen lives. I felt dead positive. I did a 7-day challenge to help people get motivated and stuff. And then I spiraled, and I started like losing interest in everything. So this is how it started me. I started losing interest in everything, and I felt like it was never going to end. Like the whole COVID situation, I felt like it was never going to end. What's green and you have to click on it? Yeah, I can see. So Lindsay, I've got Lindsay as well, sent a request. I'll pop one of yours on in a minute if you want to talk. Lindsay, you want to come on and talk about yours, or do you feel comfortable as well? So obviously my own journey, again, feeling quite guilty because I've got, my finances are good, I've got a good home, like I own my own home, I've got a beautiful daughter, you know, David's amazing. So I've got all these things, all these basic needs. But yet I started to feel like a bit hopeless, like my life was like pointless. Now, I've never been suicidal or anything like that, but I was like, when you wake up and you think, oh, here we'll go again. Like, that's what I was getting to. And then with that, I think, obviously I started drinking wine on my Saturday live, my gigs. Started drinking wine on a Saturday, and then it soon become a Wednesday thing. So I started drinking wine on a Wednesday. And that's never stopped. I think I've been a few times, like probably 2 weeks without any wine, but only a couple of times in the last 2 and a bit years. Right, Hayley, I'll get you on in a second. Thank you, hon. So, and then with the wine, when I've had a drink, then I started like binge eating, because you feel a bit, when you're feeling a bit tipsy and that, and you're like, oh, I'll get some toast to soak up the alcohol, which then became, I'll order a pizza, or I'll have these 3 bags of crisps or a full tub of, in fact, what I used to do on a Friday sometimes was, if I had a bottle of wine on the Friday, I'd go to Aldi and buy the cheaper Pringles. I prefer them to Pringles from Aldi. And I'd eat the whole tub of these, I don't eat snack right, I think it is. These cheap Pringles from Aldi with my bottle of wine. That was my tea. That's what I started to do. And I could only ever drink one bottle, but then it got to the point where I was like, I need an extra glass. So then I started buying 2 bottles. Could never finish 2 bottles, but I had 1 bottle, and then I used to pour a glass from the second bottle, but I never ever finished it. But that's kind of where it was getting more. And that's kind of what happens, I would say, with addictions as well, in bad habits. You can do things and then you kind of spiral and get more into a bad habit. Yes, Laura, exactly. And then the day after, you feel like crap and then eat. So I started doing that. Things opened up a little bit. I went back I missed singing obviously so much. I went back to singing and it just didn't feel right. And this is when people weren't allowed to dance. And I did a gig. I'll not name the club, but I did a gig up the road, and I got wrong off he was like the committee type guy for enticing people to dance, and I was like, I didn't actually say get up and dance. It's just I don't sing if you see me singing before, I don't really do many ballads. It's all upbeat, and I was like, I'm not like that's just me set. Like if you had to tell the agent to say, look, can you just sing bloody miserable songs, then I probably would have learned some miserable songs for you. So that made us feel really shit. And I thought, I'm here doing my best, and you're coming in criticisers like that, honestly. And I just thought, yeah, this is not the same. It wasn't the same. So then I had a bit of time off. And then I've kind of went back to it and thought, no. And I'm having time off again. And I've been like a yo-yo with singing. And one of the reasons is my confidence. So my weight, I had put on probably more than 2 stone now. I haven't weighed myself for weeks. I'm scared. I'm actually scared to stand on the scales because I don't know how I'm going to emotionally react to it. So this week there's a gym opening down the road. So I'm going to think about like joining there. And I'm just kind of trying to get myself into a mindset where I can get up in the morning. And what I shared the other day was basically like a schedule, a day planner. So I'm going to start using them again so that when I get up, I can't change my mind and go, oh, what can I do today? Oh, I'll have this. I need to get into that habit of going, right, what am I doing? Focus. This, right, let's go and do that without thinking about anything else. Focus on that one thing, done that thing, take it off, next. And then it stops us from feeling like I've got free reign and can do what I want based on my mood when I've kind of written it in stone, if you like, written it down. So that's what I'm going to hopefully start doing. And then with that, I know I feel better. And it's not just about, like, people I'll see posts saying, sorry, I'm on a proper ramble here. I'll see posts, people saying, oh, love your body for the way it is. And I totally agree. You should always love yourself. But being overweight isn't healthy, and it isn't a sign of loving yourself. And that's my opinion. And obviously I don't mean to upset anybody. That's how I feel about myself. So because I've got the belief system, this, to me, my weight is a sign that I've just abused my body. And that makes us quite sad that I've literally abused myself. To the fact that even my thyroid went back out again, which it's all under control now. So anyway, that's kind of what happened to me. But at the back of my head, I'm like, but I've got things, but I'm like, do you know what's missing? Is living. Like, I just felt like I wasn't living. I didn't have the choices, and I quite like having freedom and having choices, and I didn't have them choices to make, and it made us feel uneasy. So I don't know if anybody can relate to that feeling. Lindsay, I'm going to read this out. I hope you don't mind, hon. I suffered from depression for ages, up and down. It gave me a lack of confidence in myself. Drank a lot, which made me worse. Then the sister dying was awful, and oh, bless that. And drank more, but I'm getting help through stars and got great friends. Lindsay, if you don't mind, will you share that link through who you're getting help with? And if anybody's can recommend, like, say if you've been to counselling or you've done CBT or something where you've thought, you know what, that saved me or that's helped me, feel free to share the link. But I'm going to get Hayley on if she's still here. Hayley, are you still okay to pop on? And then we'll get Laura on as well. I don't know how many people I can get on at once. Right, we're there. Audience, Hayley, invite. Right, I've just... Hiya. Oh, look at David's face, by the way.
Just in case anyone needs cheering up.
So we had our friend over and it's like, put loads of makeup on him and, hiya, Hales.
Hiya.
Loads of makeup on. I've got zero makeup on.
I look pretty.
Ton of spots. I'm on holiday tomorrow, so zero makeup from me.
Where are you going again?
Dubai, Singapore, and Bali.
Oh, is this what you were talking about last time?
Yeah.
God bless you, and it's like here already.
Yeah, so here we are, going away. But no, I was just going to say, like, my mental health really, like, tanked a little bit, I guess, during lockdown, but I didn't really notice because I was trying to keep myself active. I was trying to do things. But then I think kind of when everything started to open up, but gyms were late to open up, and that really struggled with me because I was an avid gym goer for a really long time. And then I got to a point where, like, I found it quite difficult to get back into a gym routine because when I was going to the gym, people maybe weren't cleaning stuff down, and I just wasn't really positive. Like, I wasn't really sure about being there, and like, I know people have got different opinions about whether COVID existed or not, but like, I saw how badly my mum and dad suffered when they had COVID.
Yeah.
And who knows what it really was, but like, my mum and dad had a really tough time. So like, I think I was a bit like conscious of course, not introducing that to people who might be vulnerable, but also people who I work with who may be a bit older. So like, at the gym, when I could see the people weren't cleaning stuff down, it was like really bothering me. So I think I stopped going.
Yeah.
And I like massively got out of the routine. And I think I hadn't realised how much of an impact not being able to socialise had had on us. So like, I'm usually like a very social person, and I would like be at Speedway, I would be doing like loads of like stuff in my free time, like go out, like constantly meeting up with people, constantly like going for drinks or like catch ups or whatever. But then I think during COVID, all of that obviously stopped. And I think it took a little while for it to really sink in the impact, and it wasn't necessarily right during COVID. It was when COVID came to an end and you could kind of start again. And I just felt like, oh, well, actually, I don't really know where to start anymore. Like, with all these things that I used to do, but I'm not sure that I'm comfortable doing them. And yeah, it was just bizarre because obviously there was that first patch where society kind of opened up again, and you still had to wear masks, and people still wanted to know like how many jabs you'd had, and there was like certain things that you couldn't do if you'd had a jab. So it was like, it was just a bit like of a difficult situation. And then like, I guess situations just changed because the same people weren't at the same places. And I think like a lot of like, I saw a lot of my friends actually who went through situations where their relationship didn't last the end of COVID. So I think like people were just going through their own hard times, and I think everyone had kind of isolated themselves because you might have spoke to family, or you might have done the odd Zoom quiz, like everyone was doing Zoom quizzes during COVID. Like, you might have done all of that stuff, but like, I think you did very much isolate yourself. And like, I think really the only people who I spoke to regularly were really like my mum and dad, and I try to speak to them every day, and like maybe my sister. But like, really, I think outside of that like very small sphere, it was like I wasn't as good at probably keeping in touch. And that's not just it's my fault, and it's like, obviously you start to think, well, is that person just not that bothered about being friends with me? Like, you start to question the friendships that you've got with people, and then I feel like that probably made us withdraw a little bit and be like, well, actually, are we really friends, or are we just like friends when it's convenient, or what sort of friendship is this? And I think it just made us question things a little bit more during like, well, after COVID, because you start to go back, but then it's like, well, actually, is that relationship still there anymore? I think was really what happened with me. So I think it was more the aftermath of it all that really like struck me down. And I found it quite hard for probably about a year after COVID ended to kind of pull myself together. And I would say it's only really the last like 2 or 3 months that I've started to like feel normal again. And started to feel myself and started to appreciate my own life, and that I have got really good things, and I can't like, it makes us feel guilty when I feel bad about stuff, because I think I've done really well for myself. Like, I've got a good job, I've got a lovely family, I've got really good close friends, and I sometimes feel awful for feeling bad. And I think that's the worst part of it, I think, is the guilt for feeling the way that you feel.
And that's the same what I was saying like about me last year. It was that guilt thing. And hang on, there's people like on the street, there's people in countries who can't afford food, and here's me whinging because I can't go out or I can't work. Like, so, but I think we should not judge people, I guess, because everybody's got their own things that they need to feel alive, don't they?
Yeah.
So can I ask you then? So would you say that your mental health was okay before COVID?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always, like, I think I've probably always erred a little bit more on, like, the side of being a bit of an overthinker. Like, I think I've always, like, overthought everything in life. Like, my brain just doesn't stop. It's, like,
Yeah.
constantly like, what about this? And what about this? And he said this today, and could you have said this differently? And what do they think of what you said? And, like, that's just how my brain works. So, like, for all being a social person, I think at the same time being social really exhausts me, because my brain's like, oh, but you said that to this person, what have they thought of that, and what do they think of you, and what's their impression of you? And
Yeah.
I think I'm very conscious of what people are thinking of me as a person,
Mm-hmm.
which, I mean, isn't a bad thing, because I guess it's an indication that you're not a psychopath.
Yeah, it also shows that you care, because you want to come across, I guess,
Yeah.
well. Do you know what I mean? But I know totally what you're getting at with that, because I think sometimes I do it, and if I'm honest, I think a lot of people do that. Like, I've spoke to people, and there's probably more people than we think that do that. They just, because we don't see it, we think it's just us, don't we? So when, you know how you were saying before, like, obviously it was after COVID, and you come back and you were like, right, this is a bit weird. Do you know now that you're feeling like okay in a way, like you're getting back to normal? In hindsight, do you think that actually there was some good things to come out of those realizations, what you were saying about, like, finding maybe, you know, who your real friends are, or, you know, changing career path? Do you feel like there's been anything that, looking back, you go, actually that was good that happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely the friends thing, because I think it makes you, and it's not that, like, maybe not getting in touch is a sign of not being friends, but I think, like, it was that realization that there's certain people that are only ever going to contact you if you're in a certain space, and then if you can be convenient or if you can be of use to them. So I think I'm a lot more aware of who those people are in my life now, and who the people are who, yeah, okay, we might not talk all of the time, but, like, I still know that if, like, stuff was really bad, I could message them. I probably wouldn't, because I'm not a burdener. That's, like, my other big problem. I'll not ask for help. People, I don't want to bring someone else's day down, so I'll just not talk about it sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think, but it was that realization that there is definitely certain people within your life that, and I'm pleased for it now, because there's a lot of people who've gone the distance off my social media, who, like, maybe aren't happy about it, because I've not spoken to them since, but I've seen them since, and I can see that, like, the attitude towards me has changed. And I'm happy with that, because I just think, like, actually, I don't need people who are just there to view my life. I want people who are actively, like, part of my life. And it's not about getting use out of people. That's not what it's about. It's about
negotiation, as well.
Or not, or whether someone's just, like, a visitor and, like, viewing what you do in your life, because it might be useful information to them later on.
Yeah, I'm just laughing. Hayley, you'll have to meet my friend Laura, just because Laura, Hayley will agree with you when I'm about to say this. I don't know if you can see the comments. People are shit. Dogs rule. Hayley has got a dog who she loves, and it's a little baby. So Laura, so Laura and Hayley, honestly, you would get on. I'm going to have to introduce you.
Yeah, definitely.
Read this comment of Stacey. I'll just now and again, I'll read the comments out as well here. So Stacey's got, everyone deals with life differently, and what totally messes up or one person might not be a big deal to someone else. And that's, you're totally right. And it's the same thing. I don't know what you feel like about weight. So, for example, you're quite small, right? Obviously, you're quite small. So imagine if you stood next to someone who was a bit bigger, and you went, yeah, I feel dead uncomfortable, like I put on a bit of weight. That person who's bigger is probably more than likely going to turn around and go, is that on you, man? Like, blah, 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 blah. But just because they're bigger than you and would love to have your body doesn't mean to say that you should be then grateful and happy for what, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's different in that way, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I've super struggled with my weight all my life. Like, not to a really bad extent, because I've always been a gym goer, but I feel like I've always had to work really hard, and if I don't work really hard at it, and if I'm not careful about what I eat, don't drink too much, like, all of that stuff, like, I really have to factor in.
Yeah.
After COVID, I got to the biggest that I've ever been. Like, I'd never ever had been a size 12 in my life. And I got to size 12, and I'd always been like an 8 or 10, but I'd always been a smaller 10, and I always kind of just fluctuated between 8 and 10. But, like, I've never had the flat stomach. And like that's always like it's just a fictitious belief that that's even ever going to happen for some people, because I'm not my body is not built to have a flat stomach. Like I really now to my 30s to get to that point where I'm like, yeah, actually, do you know what, it doesn't matter how many times I go to the gym, I'm probably never going to have a flat stomach. But I got like 12 and I was just so angry with myself because I had to buy bigger clothes. And I started a new job and I thought, like, imagine starting a new job and I felt like the worst I'd ever felt about my weight. And I was just like, oh, they're going to look at me and I'm like, I'm such a slob and like, I've been such an idiot and I've done this to myself. And like, I was just sort of like beating myself up about it. But I think, do you know, the best advice I've ever had about mental health is talk to yourself in your head how you would talk to one of your friends.
Yes.
Because I would never be as cruel to one of my friends as I am to myself.
Yeah, but the biggest critics on myself, don't we? And you're so right. Like, and that's really good advice to give people. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine me saying to like you, Hayley, or Laura or Gemma, oh, you're dead fat, you, and oh, you're not. What you going out looking like that for? And get some makeup on, brush your hair. You just wouldn't do it, would you? But yeah, that's such good advice. Yeah.
To myself, and it's in all aspects of my life. I've just always been one of those people. I've got such high expectations of what I'm going to be able to achieve, to the point where it's completely unrealistic. Even in my working day, I'll set like the bar like a million miles high, and it's just like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then every day I get like really angry with myself, and I'm like, oh, you've totally messed that up. Like you stopped and you spoke to someone today while you were at work. What were you doing? Yeah, you didn't have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, who doesn't do that when they're at work? That's why you go into an office. Like it's to that's part of the joy of going into an office, isn't it? Like that you get to talk to people and be a little bit sociable sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's a real expectation that I'm going to go in and every hour that I'm at work, I'm going to be on point and I'm going to do everything that I need to do, and I'm not going to stop and I'm not going to talk to anyone. My disruptive personality is absolutely never going to happen.
Yeah. So do you
mildly interesting conversation? I'm like, oh, hi guys, what's happening? Can I join? What are you talking about?
But you're right though, it's mad. And I think expectations, me and my mum were talking about this the other day, and I think when you have expectations, sometimes you set yourself a failure. But I think there's expectations we set on myself, which is obviously the worst, but there's also expectations we've got on other people that can be really damaging. Because, for example, like me and Laura, she was on last week and we were talking about things. In fact, I'll not use that as an example actually, because Laura might want to speak about that. I'm trying to think of another example. I've just still got that example in my head. So, for an example, right, I'm just going to use this. So, say if you've got a parent who has been a really shitty parent, who has never been there for you, whatever, right? As a society, we think, which I believe, though, is, you know, your parents supposed to be the ones you can rely on, who you can trust, who will love you unconditionally. We'll have that expectation set so high of how a parent should be. And if they're not, that hits hard. Do you know what I mean? Because you've got that expectation. That expectation, I think it's universal, really. So it's probably a bad example, but do you know what I mean? Like if you say, I've got a best friend, but if they didn't come and pick me up at 2 o'clock in the morning when I was stranded, then, you know, they're not a friend. You know what I mean? Like that kind of expectation where everybody's different kind of thing. Aye, parents. Over. 2 seconds, Hazel. There's a comment before. I'm going to read them out as we're going. Wait there. Laura said about your little doggy. Oh, what a stunner. Laura, I've been all different sizes and obviously really skinny and unhealthy. I just concentrate on what I put in and let my body find its own shape. Listen, you don't get wrinkles in a balloon. She says. You do, like, I'm proof. Right, okay. That's hilarious. Hey, God. Sorry, hon, I'm just making sure I'm catching up so I'm not missing out. But has anybody got any questions for Hayley? Like, obviously, listening to what you're saying about, like, lockdown and, like, realizations with friends and, you know, just not really knowing what the hell you're doing with your life. If anyone's got any questions, obviously type in the comments. But if there's anything as well, Hayley, that you want to share in regards that you might think might help other people, you know, how are you now in an okay place? Is it just the fact that time's a healer and it's kind of got you've just got back to normality now, or has there been something you've done that's helped?
So I think forcing myself to do stuff that I maybe don't really want to do. So I guess the key was like starting to go out again and starting to see people again, and maybe I didn't feel like I wanted to because I'd put weight on and like I didn't really feel great about myself, and I wasn't really like super comfortable about being in social positions. But like putting yourself back out there, and then you start to realise that actually some people, they don't care what you look like, they don't care if you've got fat, like if your hair is whatever, like if you haven't had your hair cut, like people just don't care maybe, and like just realising there are people out there that are gonna like you regardless of like what else is happening in your life. They're just gonna like, they're gonna be there and they're gonna listen, and there are nice people out there. So I guess like remembering that even though there are like some bad people and there's some downsides, and like I said before, like there's some people that you start to realise aren't your friends, but it's also remembering that on the massive flip side of that is that there's some really amazing people out there who like love you regardless of whatever happens in life, and they'll support you no matter what you're doing. So I think it's like, it's just trying sometimes as well not. I stopped watching the news was a big thing for me, because that used to really get me down, because I just felt like there was always something negative. And I like, trying not to focus on negative things. Like bad things happen, but what I really, the biggest piece of advice I would honestly give is don't make other people's bad days about you. So like a lot of the time, if someone's being a bit of a dick to you, or like they've been short with you, or they've like snarky email at work, like it's probably not about you. It's probably not about you at all. It's probably everything to do with the sort of time that they're having, and nothing to do with like anything that you've done at all.
And
it's like realization that actually everybody's got stuff going on, and that like I'm the worst for thinking, oh, have I upset them? Have I done something? Because it's just the way my brain works, and I hate feeling like I've upset someone. And I don't ever want to be the person who's made someone feel bad. So like I'll always be like, oh, have I done something? And then if someone used to email me and it was a bit short, I'd be like, oh my God, like what have I done? What have I done to like cause that situation? But actually a lot of the time it isn't anything to do with you, and it's just that person's having a really bad day, and they just need to like kind of do them and just let their thing go. So I think it's trying to remember that it's not always personal. And that everyone's got stuff going on is the biggest thing.
And I love that as well, because like you know, for example, if you're working in a job where you're like customer service and somebody comes screaming at you, like I've been quite good where I've always like kind of known that like this is not personal, I can tell they're pissed off, and so normally I can kind of respond in a way that actually helps them and calms them down. But some people do take it personally and they react, and then they become snappy and stuff like that. So I think that's really good advice to remember that. I had to go and get my charger before. I was like, shit, 5% is going to die, but I didn't want to interrupt you either. So I was like, crap. So David's went and got the charger. I've plugged it in. Right, I'll go back and just read the ones that's commented here. So Laura's got, totally agree with a lot of what Hayley has said. Thanks for sharing. Stacey, in fact, I actually weighed. I'm not laughing at you, by the way. I think it's just how blunt that you've just put that. In fact, I actually get weighed tomorrow. Joined Weight Watchers, messed about, though I was untouchable. Got on the scales last week. Right now I work. I've been a saint all week. Get weighed tomorrow. I'm 40 in September and don't want to be fat at 40. I'm 40 in December, and that's like what I'm thinking. I'm like, I thought I would have been in my prime by now. But life starts at 40 apparently. So we've got loads of goodness to come. Laura's got, I've turned proper antisocial. She has, you know, Hayley. She's like, all I need is me dogs. People are CUNT. That's a wicked outlook. Which is funny because Laura's very sociable, but she's not very, very friendly with people. What happened there?
Laura's comment. The next comment.
Oh yeah. But Laura, right, you've lost a lot of weight. You did go really small, because this, I'm going to mention this as well. People think it's just people who are overweight that aren't happy with themselves, but it can also be the other way, can't it? People who are like slim for whatever reason, who can't put on weight, I might be like, oh God, yeah, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather be you, but you don't know what their struggles are.
So just on that, I had a girl the other day at work, and I was talking about my weight, and I was just obviously making a joke of it, because that's just the type of person that I am. I don't like to make things too serious.
Yeah.
At least it would be to most people. Like, I was making a bit of a joke about like how much weight I'd put on, and I was pretending to blame Christmas for it. It wasn't Christmas's fault. I hadn't put any weight on over Christmas.
Oh, I mean, it was COVID, and then it was Christmas 2021, and Christmas 2022.
And then he was like, "Oh, I'd love to put weight on," and I was just like, "Oh," and I was just like, "Oh, I feel really bad now because here's me like complaining about like."
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, like, I'm not massively obese. Like, I'm bigger than I should be for the height that I am, but like,
Yeah.
I'm not obese. And I think like again, this comes back to my own personal super high expectations of myself and what I should be and how I feel that I should look. And I think it's bad, and then things like that happen, and then I just think, oh, I should really be more careful because you know there's people out there who've got far worse things going on. But then I think like that doesn't help, and it adds to my guilt of like I shouldn't feel bad about anything because there's people out there who've got it worse than me, and they absolutely are. But like, I guess that's the other thing, it's all relative, isn't it? It's all relative to your sphere of life and what you've been through and what you've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
But I just sometimes I think I am my own worst enemy is the thing that I would say is I just expect so much from myself. I expect to achieve all of the time. I expect to be on point all of the time, and it's just not realistic. It's not human. It's not human to be 100% every single day. And like, it's this belief that if I start going to the gym that I have to go 5 times a week, and if I don't go 5 times a week then I've automatically failed. And it's like all of those expectations and just saying, actually, this is what's achievable. This is a bit better for us if I do it this way.
So do you know why you like that? Because normally there's like, not always, but normally there's experiences in our belief systems have obviously been formed on things that's happened to make we be like a certain way. So you've never thought about before. Like, have you sat down and went, right, why am I like this? Let's dig a little bit into like experiences where those expectations have been put on you, maybe, or an expectation and you feel like you've let someone down. Like, do you know what I mean? That maybe it's worth sitting with yourself and writing a little note, like a little journal thing of like, only if it's bothering you and you want to, obviously, but it would be interesting to see, does it go back somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably does in a way, because I think like it's a bit of a family thing that like every generation seems to have done better. So it's that belief, not that someone necessarily individually has put on me, but just that, oh, but they worked really hard. So if I don't work harder and get that a little bit further, I've let them down because they worked really hard to make sure they put me in that position to get to the next step. And it's funny, like, because I couldn't have more supportive parents, so I can't like I wouldn't dare blame or like even put that in that direction, because it's not like my mum and dad are the type of people that as long as I'm happy, they're happy. And I've always been massively lucky in that respect, that like my parents are very supportive of what I do, and they don't expect us to conform to social norms, and it's not like, oh, you were disappointed because you didn't get married before you were 30 or any of that sort of stuff. Like, I've never had that. But I think again, I think I'm just, when I was younger, I was like gifted and talented at school, so I think it's a personal thing. It's what I've done to myself, but it's that belief that you're told that when you're younger. So I feel like if I don't do really well, then I've failed. I've failed what people expected me to achieve in my later life.
Yeah.
And I've wasted that effort that they put into me. And I think that's the real problem. That's where it's actually come from more than anything else.
And you know, that's a lot of it. Like what you've said there is, it's the conditioning of them expectations that other people set, whether it's been intentional or not. You've took it upon yourself to be like, oh my God, these people are calling me this. And it probably felt good at the time, being told like, you're very smart, you're very clever, or you're very talented, or you're very this. And then I can imagine why someone would then want to kind of live up to that. But at the same time, you could have worse things going on. Like if you didn't have that going on, you might not be as health conscious and going to the gym. And so it can be a good thing as well, can't it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think necessarily on the health side, because it's never something really that like got talked about massively when I was younger. I feel like it's a relatively like new trend within like the UK. Like I don't feel like it's been a massive thing, and like even when we were younger, like there wasn't necessarily social media. So up until I was like 14, 15, like you had MySpace and Bebo, but like
Yeah.
MySpace was predominantly music and Bebo was just like messaging,
Mhm.
MSN was just messaging. And like it was never about like how you looked or appearance. And I feel like that's a negative side. I would say that's the most negative side of social media now, is there's a lot of people being praised because of the way they look. And I'm not saying that some people don't work hard, because people work massively hard to get to where they are
Mhm.
for some people. But I feel like, why is how someone looks more important than who someone is? Because I think if you're not a nice person, I don't care how pretty you are. Like, you're not very pretty
Yeah.
to me. Like, if you can't be nice to people and you can't support people and you can't give people a hand up and you can't like
Mhm.
help people when they're not feeling good about themselves, I don't think that makes you a very good person. And I think that should be more important. But I feel like now it's not important. I feel like it's more
Yeah.
important to look good than it is to be good.
I think you're right, and I think also it's unrealistic that all these filters that people have got now. So when you're
Yeah.
looking at people's pictures and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, because you can't compete with the filter. You can't. You're never going to look as good as that filter.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, really tough. But also, so my little bit of belief about, doing my hair nice and putting some makeup on, because normally I do the school run through the week. I don't put, like, I haven't got anything on. And if I'm honest, that's also been making us feel miserable, because like you said earlier, I feel like people are like, oh, she's let herself go now. Oh my God, I've seen Hayley now. Like, because I used to always be slender at school. So that to me, I feel like, oh God, I look like a tramp. I look ugly, especially like you say, compared to other people, right? But for me, I feel like it's also an issue of like how it shows your self-love, like how you think about yourself. Like, so for me, if I wash my hair, for example, and my hair looks clean, do you know what I mean? If my face is all blotchy, if I like cover it up a bit, put some nice clothes on, I just think it gives the impression that I put the time in for myself. Like, and I know that's not what everyone thinks like, but that's what I think like in my head. And the same with me weight. It's like, for me, it's not that I don't love myself. It's more that I feel like I've let myself down, because my weight is because I've binged and I've abused my body, not because I've got a medical condition or whatever else. It's because I've just purely not looked after myself. So that's why I'm like, now I feel like I want to start making more of an effort to like boost it a little bit, because I do think it makes you feel better. But I do think you're right. No, we shouldn't judge someone if they're not all done up either. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I've always been the massive plain Jane. I mean, you know me. I used to
Mhm.
rock in when you used to work in the old George. I
Yeah.
used to rock in with Devo makeup on after a shift and all of that. Like, I've never been a super girly girl. Like, I've never been, and I was never big on makeup. And to be honest, even now, I'm still like, I watch makeup tutorials and just think, how have you done that? Because it's like a chameleon. It's like how you
Yeah.
did that to your face. You look like a different human now. Like, how have you done that?
Yeah, I would love for someone to give me a makeover and actually see what it would look like, because I just feel like I still kind of look like me, but my skin's shocking, but it's because of my health. So at the minute my skin goes all red and blotchy, and I'm getting a lot of like dry bits here and here, so my makeup is even sitting on my face but it's health. It's because I'm not getting the right nutrients in my body. So
Yeah, well, I've stressed myself out this week. So that's why I've got like spots either side, and I've got like a spot over here.
mhm,
And I've done that because I've stressed myself out, because it's like, I'm going on holiday, so I've got to like plug the gap while I'm going to be away.
mhm,
So it's like, I'm going to work until 10 o'clock every single night this week to get work done, so that I'm not leaving someone else in the lurch when I go away.
yeah,
And that's just, again, my like ridiculous expectation, because I don't know anybody else who I work with who would do that.
mhm,
But I still couldn't, even though I said that to myself, I still could not stop myself from sitting there and trying to make sure everything was fixed before I went away.
mhm,
I could not stop myself from doing the extra work and doing the extra hours and coming home after I'd finished work,
mhm,
having my tea, walking the dog, and then getting back on the laptop and
yeah,
doing more work, because it's like, I don't want to let someone down. And I've
yeah,
just got such unhealthily high expectations of myself that are just so unrealistic to be met. But
mhm,
even though I know that, every day now it's still a little battle with myself of like, you've done enough, Hayley. And I really have to like fight myself with it and be like,
mhm,
you've done enough. You don't
yeah.
need to do more.
Maybe
And there's so many people.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, go on.
No, it's because it keeps freezing. You carry on, babe.
But yeah, so I was like, it's even other people, I think sometimes, like, look at me and they go, what are you doing, Hayley? Like, stop it. You've done too much, just go home.
People's internet are dropping. Laura's internet went down. But, what was I going to say? Yeah, because you froze there, because your video keeps freezing, so then I don't know whether you're, like, still about to speak. I was like, dead conscious about putting in place. And I actually forgot what I was going to say now. Got a bit of a brain fart there. So, but how long are you going on holiday for? Is it a week? No, obviously.
Two.
How long?
2.5.
2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks. You're a lucky bugger. Like, I'm proper jealous. I feel like I really need a holiday. So, but I don't know whether before I finish. In fact, what time is it now? Hello, babe. You've got 5 minutes. Okay. 5 minutes. What time is it? 10 a.m. now. So what I'm doing is, I don't know if you caught the Zoom last week that I did for Laura, but I wanted to do it every Sunday and get kind of different people on, talk about the stories, and hoping to get some people on who can like answer questions for people who are obviously struggling and going through things, and might be able to give like tips and tools to kind of help. And so, but for you, what you were saying there about your expectations, I definitely think it might be worth you kind of trying to delve into that a little bit more and working out like how you can take some pressure off yourself. Do you know what I mean? If
Yeah.
it's in your life, then yeah, like in a negative way, definitely need to try and work on that. So, but I love holiday. I'm proper jealous. You have to send us some pictures, and then when you get back, you'll have to come back on.
Yeah, I will do.
Okay. But thank you so much, me babes, and I'll catch up with you really soon.
Yeah.
All right.
It's lovely to see you. Love you all. Take care, everybody.
See you
Bye.
Bye. I don't know how to cancel it though. Oh, there, I think I've done it. Well, it's 10 to 9 now, so I was going to get Laura back on. But I think I'm going to call it an early night, I was going to say, because we'll be still awake. And obviously I've been away the weekend, so she hasn't really seen us, so she's probably going to want us to go and have some snuggles. Is it off heels? God, I'm actually quite rubbish with social media, you know, but honestly, thank you so much for coming on. But if anybody wants to come on next week, I'm going to be just doing this. I'm not going to bother with Zooms. I'm going to just do this. I'm just going to come live in my jammies on a Sunday at 8 o'clock and just have a bit of a chin wag with people. So, what was I going to say? Laura was going to, you did send us in, didn't you? I don't know. I'll have to check. See, I'm getting tired now as well. So, Laura, it is, isn't it, babe? And that, just sit in my kitchen on my phone as well, even though I was prompting it up earlier, but I've got the charger in now, so I've got to hold it. But Laura, are you all right to put the links in, or send us the links about the place that you self-referred? So if anybody watched last week, Laura was talking about like addictions and stuff, and she self-referred to get help. So she's going to send us the information. So if anybody else feels like they're suffering with any addictions, I don't know, is it just like drugs and drink, or is it like any addictions, Laura? But anyway, she's going to send us them if she hasn't already. I'll have to check. And what I'll do is I'll put it in this post, and I'm going to be putting them on my website. And what I'm going to try and do is build up a list of contacts, so people can kind of go on the website and go, right, I've got a problem with this. Oh, there's a phone number there, or there's this person I can listen to. And that kind of thing. And remember what I said at the beginning, me and my mum, for example, earlier on, like I was talking about a motivational speaker, my mum didn't quite like him. So not everyone's going to resonate with you either. So if you go to counselling, or if you go to the doctors and you speak to someone and you think, oh, it doesn't feel right, it's not working, and then give up, don't give up. I do believe that it's just the fact that that wasn't the right person. You've got to keep keep looking, until you find the right person that you can relate to and resonate with. And I'll also leave it on saying that mental health, it is complex, and I don't want to ever come across and say like this is a fact and this is this and this is this, because so many people have got something to say, something different to say. So you'll read about for example, food, you'll read about an item of food that's apparently really good for you, but then another side is a doctor will say it's really bad for you. So it's really, really hard to know what's right and what's wrong, which is why it's important just to get a lot of information and kind of just see what works for you and try different things out. North Tyneside talking therapies were amazing for me. Mine was addictions, but they have contact with other services. Well, if you don't mind, girls, are you all right? I even like just pop it in this comment or just send it in the inbox and I'll put them on the website as well. Thank you. So added talking therapies. Who was it with? Is it just one place, Hayley? North Tyneside talking therapies. Do you know, Mum? Talking therapies. Is it different talking therapies?
I think and your doctor can usually put you in touch with talking
I had
therapists and give you a call.
Yeah.
For your first session on the phone.
So there was a waiting list, and this was like a couple of years ago, so I can imagine the waiting list is even bigger now. But try and ring. But what I'm trying to do is like get information to people so that they can kind of learn themselves and empower people to kind of help themselves by the tools that hopefully I'm going to be able to pass on and go try this and try that. As you got referred by the doctor. I self-referred to Plumber Court and Smart Recovery. And it's obviously worked because you're in a better place now, so that's good. But anyway, I'm going to log off, everyone, so thank you for watching. If you're watching on replay, thanks for making it to the end. And I will be popping on again next Sunday. So have a lovely evening, and thank you, Hayley, for coming on, and Laura again, and I'll speak to you all soon. And have a little holiday. I'm jealous. Bye for now.